Shagun Sachdeva, your host for the session. I'm sure it's a lovely Friday afternoon. And you know why? Because most of us, including me, we have a habit of living our lives waiting for the weekend. So that's the very first mistake here, that we don't start our day with clarity and purpose. So that's the very first change we need to make in ourselves. So now it's time to identify our second mistake. For that, what I'll do, I'll just flag few questions. You can see those questions in your polls, and very quickly, if I can have your answers in terms of yes, no, or maybe, and then we can just draw some conclusions out of that. So just put off my camera for some time, and I'll just flag off the questions to you. Can you see the first question? If you can you just use the emoticon, thumbs up? Can I get it? Or maybe a clap? All right. So the very first question is, have you ever made any impulsive purchase on any e-commerce website or on an app? I'm sure most of us have done that. I have also done in the past. So people these days call it as retail therapy, but I'm sure it is a flawed concept, and most of the capitalists has floated this concept to draw some profits out of it. But there is no such concept as retail therapy. All right. So question number 2, I'll publish that question and you can use the poll to answer it. Can you see the question number 2? Can you use some emoticon to let me know if you can see the question number 2? All right, I have the poll results on me. So the second question I wanted to put out is, do you get some FOMO? So FOMO is some Gen Z word, that is fear of missing out. Do you feel anxious after spending some time on social media? I'm sure most of people feel anxious these days, right? So it's a mixed response. Some people saying yes and some people saying maybe. All right. I will keep ending the poll. All right. Question number 3 I wanted to put out is, so when something good happens to someone else, I mean, most of the people these days are on social media, and we see a lot of people achieving so much, putting out, talking about their feats. So, do we feel left out when we see those posts, or do you feel dejected after that? It's a human nature. Come on, answer me. Either yes, no, maybe. The poll is out. You can answer. Can you all see the poll? Okay. Probably a lot of people saying maybe. All right. I'll end this poll and we move to the next question. Have you ever deleted something from social media because you didn't get the response you wanted? I'm sure a lot of people have done that. I have done that, because we are very skeptical when we put out something on social media and then we think that what kind of response we would get out of it. Okay, again, some mixed response. People saying yes, people saying no, and people saying maybe. All right. And the next question I wanted to put out is this, if you can see on the screen on the polls, did you ever avoid speaking your mind or opposing some idea when someone you feel is a good speaker around you, or did you feel sometimes intimidated around somebody you perceived as good looking or really nice? If people saying no, it's 100% no. All right, I'll just end this poll. Okay, I'll put out the last question. The last question in the poll is, do you check who has viewed your Instagram story or liked your Facebook post several times a day? Or maybe once a day. Once. Can I get the results? All right. Most of the people saying yes. People saying no also. Okay, it's a tie. People saying yes and no. All right. I'll end this poll for now. So yeah, I'm back. So I'm sure it was fun to answer these questions. And if your answers to most of the question is maybe, yes, or even if no, I'm sure most of us, we are questioning ourselves at this point of time. So if some of the questions have been answered as yes, then I'm sure most of us are in comparison trap. And trust me, it's all normal. And it happens with everyone. And if you ask me if there is any way out, there is definitely a way out. Because we, as human beings, we have a tendency to fall into traps. And comparison trap is just one of them. And it's all normal in this fast-paced life in the age of social media where we are bombarded with this picture perfect world, and so much choices in terms of social media presence, either on Pinterest, Instagram, on Facebook. Has it happened with you? Can I get some answers in the chat box? All right. So, amid all that noise on the social media, we often tend to ignore the inner voice, right? And when we go off to our beds, and we often tend to listen to our voice, and that voice starts questioning our self-worth. We often question our accomplishments, and we often question ourselves that where do we fall in this social hierarchy. So now the question is, what do we do about it? One piece of advice I can give you for sure is, we need to focus on the quality of life rather than the quantity of likes. Because most of the times, we as human beings, we seek validation, that how do society perceive ourselves, being part of the society, how I'm looked at. So that is one fault, and we need to correct it. So what I'll do, I will keep the session and the workshop very interactive, and there'll be three activities around it. All we need is just one paper and one pencil or pen, and that's all. No lecture, no fundas, no mantras of success I'm going to give out, because I'm also a human being. I'm full of flaws. It's an imperfect word, and I am somebody imperfect, which I accept. So we'll just play three activities and we'll draw some conclusions out of it. um, if that works for you, just give me a thumbs up or some kind of emoticon. Can we use some emoticons, please? It is there at the bottom of your screen. All right, the first activity I'm going to play with all of you is evaluating yourself. The first question is who, understanding who you are. So I'll be putting out 5 ingredients in front of you, and you need to rate those 5 ingredients. There'll be a scorecard from 1 to 5, and 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. You need to score yourself, and we need to see where we stand, where we stood in the past, and where do we stand now. So we're comparing ourselves, the past ourselves and the present ourselves. So before that, I will just put out a poll, and you just answer me this question first. So apart from health, wealth, family, relationship, and career, do you think there is more that makes your life fulfilling? Come on, answer me yes, no, or maybe. Okay, people saying yes. In the chat box, can I know what are those factors or parameters you think that makes your life fulfilling? Aparna saying learning, experiences. Mamta saying yes. Okay, so my question is, don't you think learning and experiences are just byproduct of these ingredients? I mean, whether you are around your family, whether you are around your lover, whether you are growing in your career or stagnant, I mean, your career gives you some set of experiences or some set of learning. All right, how one feels about himself or herself. So that's what we are doing. Spirituality, yes. See, these are the ingredients, but then these are traits. What we are talking about. Mamta saying spirituality. What else? Aparna saying no. Puneet saying new learnings. All right, so far so good. Being close to loved ones. So yeah, so these are the 5 ingredients. I've just made a small activity for all of you. So what we'll do, we will be evaluating. Can you see this? Can you see on the screen? All I need from you guys is just a piece of paper and a pen or pencil. So what we want to do is just evaluating ourselves. And here are the 5 ingredients, which according to me, it can differ, which according to me is the perfect 5 ingredients, what makes our life fulfilling. And then obviously there's certain emotions that is part of these ingredients, say spirituality, love, closeness. And then you have to rate yourself in the past and in the present. For example, health. If you say in the past, I was valuing my health more and I am not valuing my health at present. So, for example, in the past, I want to rate 5 as health and now it is 4. So, it has gone down in my list. So, can we do this activity, or probably you can use the chat box? You can write out these 5 factors and then just write 2 numbers. For example, you just write health and give a number in the past, say 5, and present 4. So I'll be able to understand. Can everyone do this? It's a very simple activity. Please use the emoticons too. All these are part of the principles of Ikigai. Yes, these are. It's a book. It's a wonderful book, and we will be using the same set of ingredients to understand ourselves better. 1 is the lowest and 5 is the highest. So for example, I will help you out. For example, career was 4 in the past and 5 in the present. So I am valuing my career more in the present and I was not valuing it more in the past. I will fill this for you. So for example, I am valuing my career more in the present. That is 5 and past is 4. So 4 is lesser, right? Feliciana saying health past 2, present 5. You can just write, you can ignore writing past and present. You can just use the numbers 2 and 5. I'll be able to figure out. Come on, everyone, put out the answers. Can we have the answers here? I hope I am able to explain and elucidate that that what we are trying to do in this activity. We are just putting out the numbers. We are just preparing a scorecard for ourselves. Wealth, Feliciana saying wealth is 5 and now it's 3. I'm sure most of people have, post COVID, it has gone off the priority. Family is 5. Oh, that is great. Ashish has given a very precise answer in one chat box. Health, wealth, family, relationship, career, and the numbers, past numbers and the present numbers. Everyone, can we just put down the 5 factors and then rate it? Relationship is again 3, same. So if we compare, I mean, I'm sure most of you have completed this activity, and I don't have the results in front of me. You have the results. You can self evaluate yourself and you can look at the scorecard, what scores you have given for yourself in the past and in the present. So if you see the growth in every ingredient or in every aspect from the past to the present, then definitely you're working on yourself and you are growing in your life. So the main purpose to do this activity is understanding who you are. Okay, we have results from Mamta as well. Now the question is, can I just go forward if every one of you have completed this activity, the first activity? Probably a thumbs up would give me some answer. It would give me some clarity. Guys, can you use the emoticon there? It is at the bottom. All right. So before starting this activity, I had raised a poll where I asked you that apart from these 5 ingredients, do you think there is some more ingredient that makes your life fulfilling? You guys said yes. According to me, these were the only 5 factors which I believe makes my life fulfilling. But as part of the society, we tend to get lost in this jazzy and materialistic world. We think that, we often confuse our needs and we often confuse needs with our wants. And, apart from these 5 factors, we start thinking, oh, how do I look? I mean, this person looks better than me. So there is always some person better than you, whether in terms of looks, whether in terms of your career, wealth, or anything else for that matter. And apart from these, we often think about, oh, this is the car I drive, this is the house I own, and this is the kind of phone I'm using right now. So that is all part of comparison trap. However, things are gradually changing. People are moving away from the brands today. It is all about minimalistic life rather than materialistic life. But it is a long road. Things will change, but it will take time to reach there. Right? Do you agree? Some emoticon, please. Can we use some emoticon or probably a chat box if you can use, whether you want to express out something, some ideas? I want to make this workshop very engaging and very interactive. It shouldn't be dull and monotonous. Come on, guys, put out your answers. All right, perfect. I can see some answers coming in. All right. there'll be second activity where we'll be talking about comparison. Comparison is good, you know, till the time it is about the right ingredients. So we'll be talking about compare, but compare what, right? Can you see this, the worksheet? All right. I want to hear out your experiences here, some more stories coming from you. So first is we need to compare our work and not ourselves, right? Is it true? These days, if you remember, when I started this workshop, I didn't introduce myself as, oh, this is me or this is what I do. So, this is the mistake people these days are doing. They tend to confuse themselves with their jobs, what they do. So, for example, even in the social gatherings, we meet people and then they say, oh, hi, this is who I am and this is what I do. So, people don't have clarity that, as an individual, they are different and what they do is completely different. Ashi is saying wealth has different meanings and perceptions to different folk, creates in itself a comparison. That is so true. So, very first point is comparing your work and yourself. Any story somebody wants to put out, any fun story or any kind of personal story somebody want to put out around the first point where people tend to compare their work with themselves. All right. The second point I want to talk about is compare your work in a way that makes a difference. What kind of impact you're making in a society, right? For example, if you're doing something, what is the vision and the purpose behind it? Somebody has rightly said that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. So you need to figure out why is the reason. So, first activity we talked about was self evaluation, who you are. The second thing, second, workshop or second activity in the workshop is making you realize why you're doing it. Comparison is good, but understanding why that, why is, I mean, the reason behind it is very important. Any experience you want to talk about, any story you guys want to share around it? Okay, I want to share a very personal story around the impact we want to create in a society. I'm sure you guys have your personal stories, but one story I can remember is in my last company when I was working and I was making a switch in terms of my career and I was moving to a new city. I was in Pune then and I was leaving the company. So this janitor who used to serve me tea, I had worked with this company for a year, and this janitor who used to serve me tea had he had been using a broken phone from past 1 year or more than that, and I had noticed that it was very irritating at times because when I would be working, I would need proper concentration, and he would be talking so loudly. So while I was leaving, I mean, it had struck me that why don't I give the new phone to this person? I discussed this idea, and most of the people suggested, it's so fool of you. Since you're leaving the company, you don't have to do anything for anybody, and the company didn't value you, or why don't you just give some old phone? But I really wanted to do that, and I believed in the idea, though I was on some financial crunch since I was moving to the new city, needed money in terms of logistics and other stuff. So I had all the reasons to not do it, but still I did it. And whatever the budget allowed me, I had got a new phone for this person and I gifted to this person. Somewhere he had the self pride to say no, but in the end we made a deal and I gifted this phone. So that is the only good memory I carried from that organization, and that is the kind of impact I believe that I created. So it's very important. See, the world is already very toxic. The world will make you believe that you are not a good fit. But somewhere deep down, if you believe that you are a good person, if you have done something good for people, that will help you not only survive but thrive in this world. Right? I mean, any kind of story, I want you guys to engage and put out your stories here. Come on, guys. Any emoticons, or use the chat box to interact. No stories? Can we just go forward, move forward? Oh, now I can see the emoticons. All right. So we are left with, in this activity, we are left with two more factors. I'm sure, and I promise you, the last activity is very interesting. It's very engaging, and you're gonna have a lot of fun there. So we'll just wrap it up. And there are two more factors we want to talk about is comparison, but compare what? One, the third point I want to talk about is compare with intent to improve and not change. Because you when you talk about changing, there's a lot of people say, oh, change is the only constant, it's part of the nature. But when we are dealing with ourselves and we say that this is what I want to change, we become rebellious. And then we think, what is wrong with us? Why do we have to change ourselves? No, always say that this is what I want to improve about myself. So when you talk about improvement and not changing, you will not become a rebel. You would rather accept it, and you would rather be open towards that change, right? And you'll rather feel more motivated. So for example, going to the gym, if we take that example, and if we say, oh, I want to reduce weight and this is what I want to change about myself, that is never going to motivate you. If you say, oh, this is what health is something I want to improve, I want to get fitter, so that would be your motivation to move forward. All right. The last point is change, and change what is, while comparing, you compare the circumstances also. I'm sure most of us, we have heard the stories of two parrots. I remember the story I was taught in my second standard. There were two parrots, and these were two brothers and adopted by two different families. And one parrot in a very conducive environment and in the right family. So there's nothing called right or wrong, but in a very healthy environment, one parrot becomes very, very ethical, very disciplined, and another parrot hadn't cussing throughout. So circumstance and the environment matters, right? There's a story, very beautiful story I was watching that day, where there were two plants a person gets and is kept in harsh sunlight, and one plant is kept in, you know, some warm environment. And every day this person would interact with the plants. One plant, there'll be healthy discussions, good talks, and with one plant, this person had been cussing throughout. So with one plant there had been healthy discussions. The growth of this plant was quite healthy. However, the another plant, where the person is constantly toxic, cussing, the plant dies out. So, this is what happens with human beings also. If you're not growing in your life, you need to be mindful of your environment. What kind of environment or what kind of people you are surrounded with, right? Especially if you're using social media, and if you're not feeling happy after it, you need to be mindful of the content consumption and what kind of content you're consuming, right? Do you guys agree on that? Guys, use emoticon or the chat box. And also let me know how you are liking this workshop throughout. I mean, are you enjoying it? Please use the chat box. Aparna saying yes. All right, now I can feel there are so many people around me. Otherwise, it seems like I'm talking to myself. All right, now we are at the last section of the workshop. That is basically now to wow and how. This is very interesting, and I want all of you to uh, use some paper and pencil and fill this for me. Can you see? Can you guys see the paper? Some emoticons to at least make me understand you guys can. Is it visible to all of you? Okay, so this is a matrix I had prepared for myself, where what I'm trying to do out of here is understanding myself. This is the first thing we did, you know, evaluating, self evaluation. No, you can't see the Feliciana saying no. Now you can, Feliciana. I will just move little behind. Can you guys see it now? Feliciana, can you see now? All right. So this is one activity we'll be doing for ourselves, and then we will close the session and we will take some questions around it. So what we are trying to do here is placing ourselves. So this is like a board we are doing for ourselves. Title is not visible. Okay. So the title says now to wow, but how? Yeah. All right. So what we'll do, so first is now, and you will, talk about embracing your imperfections, who you are, what are your strengths, what are your weakness, and from now you want to reach wow, which is here, right? What are the 5 factors you like about someone else, who you want to inculcate or imbibe in yourself? You talk about that, and then we'll understand how we're gonna do it. So can every one of you get a piece of paper and a pen or pencil? Once you do that, just give me an emoticon that we are ready, and then we can go forward. Or just in the chat box, just say yes. Are we ready now? Are we ready? Can we move ahead? Lekha saying yes. I need more people to say yes, and then I can just go forward. Come on, guys, quickly. Just a piece of pencil, a piece of paper, and a pencil. So with a pencil or pen, you can just put a box. I mean, draw a box on a piece of paper, make a matrix, 4 quadrants, and you for the first quadrant you can write now. You leave the second quadrant. which will be how, and in the third quadrant would be wow. Okay, all right. More people saying yes. So we are ready. In the now section, we have already identified who we are, what do we want, right? So first is who am I? What I have to offer to the world? What are my strengths? What are my weakness? So you make a column under wow, talk about your strengths and your weakness. Any 3 to 5 strengths. So, for example, you're loving, you give it to the world, you're kind, compassionate, you're passionate about your work, you are a family person. So, any 5 strengths you have in yourself, you believe you have in yourself, and any 5 weaknesses you believe that you want to improve or work on. Put it out. You can avoid putting it out on the window, on the chat window, but you can just put it out on a piece of paper for yourself for self evaluation. We are good to go. Guys, please use the emoticon at least. You can use 100, you can use a clap, so that I know that we guys are on the same page. All right. Lekha saying yes. All right. So we will keep aside how. I will be talking about how. But for now, we will talk about the wow factor. What excites us? Where do we want to reach in next 5 years? Or what are the qualities that I or you or we want to imbibe in ourselves, or the qualities we find in somebody to be very attractive? And then also we need to identify what have you done to work on your weakness in the past. So first in now section, we have identified our weaknesses, right? These are the 5 weaknesses. In the second section, I will what I write first, 5 factors I like about that attracts me about somebody. For example, so somebody is intellectual, somebody is kind. So these are 2 of the factors I see in others, and that attracts me, right? So that I want to imbibe in myself. Second, in wow section, I am gonna put out, did I do anything to work on my weaknesses that existed in the past? For example, I was lacking some skill, or maybe I was underconfident. Did I do anything to work on myself? For example, see, I was not reading enough. I was not updated. I had not updated myself enough. Am I reading enough? Am I, watching news? Am I talking about it? Yes, exactly. This is self SWOT analysis. Can you guys do that for yourself? I hope you guys have a piece of paper and a pencil with you and you are working on it. Any answers? Guys, you doing it? And I hope you're liking this. You're liking this session, and you're liking the workshop, the fun activities we're doing. Any kind of emoticon would actually encourage me and help me do better. Thank you, Lekha. Lekha saying interesting session. Feliciana saying yes, working on it. Thank you. All right. I'm sure we are sorted till wow. Now we'll understand to read from now to wow. What are the things you're gonna do? So now we'll be answering how. So to answer how, first is understanding what. One, what triggers you? Are you in the right environment? For example, if I go on social media and there's certain accounts that triggers me that, oh, this person is doing so great in life. So there, it's time to unfollow these people, because it all depends on the content consumption, what kind of content you're consuming. So if you want to enrich your knowledge, you need to go to the right pages, you need to consume the right content, right? Do you agree? Do you guys agree? First is understanding what. All right. Second, for how is knowing why. Find your purpose and do not time it. There is no timeline. There are people who are thriving at 60 also, and there are people who have achieved so much at 20 that probably at 40 they would want to retire, right? So there's no timeline. So it's important to find your purpose and keep moving, but there shouldn't be any timeline that it's time to get married, it's time to get you know achieve so much in life, or have a sorted career, sorted family life, right? So then you have the right mental drive to make the real changes. Okay, people saying agree, yes, make time for everything. All right. So we are through how. So first factor we talked about understanding what triggers you. Second factor we talked about why. What is the purpose behind it? The third factor I want to talk about is being selective about social media. I'm not saying give up on social media, because it's very important to have a presence, because it's a platform that helps you connect with people irrespective of the geographic boundaries, right? But use it mindfully, use it for the right purpose and for the right amount of time. You'd start tracking how much time you're spending on social media. So if I talk about myself, so when I would get updates on my phone that this is the screen time and this much time I'm spending on social media, and one day I get a shock of my life that I'm spending so much time on social media. So recently what I have done to harness this challenge is moving from you know moving to the right platform, spending more time on Instagram, rather spending more time on Instagram and spending more time on LinkedIn, building new connections, or building the professional networking. So second is mindful the third is mindful use of social media, right? Do you guys agree? I would request all of you to please use the chat box so that it's easy for me to connect with you guys. All right. So the fourth point is basically measuring your success and be your own mentor or be your own teacher. Nobody is going to hand you the things, or nobody is going to help you, help you solve your problems. So you need to capstone your progress. You need to capstone your, the achievements. And then you need to define your learning level, that this is what I lack today, but then after 5 years, this is where I want to reach, right? Do you guys agree? So these are the four factors I want to talk right now, but any other factors you believe that should be part of how and I have missed out on, so please put it out on the chat window. All right. So all the three sessions we had, or all three activities we had today, was to make you understand that life's meaning is not just to survive, but thrive, right? So you don't have to prove it to yourself, and you don't need to prove yourself to others. The only thing you need to do is just own yourself. That is my ending and the closing note to all of you. But yes, I would want to know your story. We'll keep this conversation going probably on LinkedIn. We'll post it, a post about the session, and we can have certain discussions in this closed circle. But that's my closing note for now, and thank you for being such a lovely audience. And if there's something you want to put it out on the chat window, I would love to hear your feedback and about how you like the session, so that probably I don't compare, but I work on myself. Thank you so much. And yeah, anything from your side, anything you want to put out? All right, I will close the session for now. Thank you so much and have a lovely afternoon. Yeah, I am signing off. Um, okay, Lekha, you want to take over or I just drop off? All right, guys, I thank you so much. Thank you, Aparna. Thank you, Feliciana. Okay, share my Instagram ID is actually Shagun Sachdeva, and I am. You can actually take my LinkedIn ID also. That's again Shagun Sachdeva. I work with global data, but there's no purpose to talk about my job here. But it will be easy for you to figure me out on LinkedIn. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, guys. You have a lovely day. Bye bye.